from Seattle. Pranam to Vivekji. Could Vivekji share the construct for the inquire stage in contemplation after chanting to quieten the mind? In my practice during this step, I'm trying to just observe, to reduce disidentification. Is that correct? When one engages in japa, or meaningful repetition, there are 3 R's that change in oneself. You have raised the quality of thoughts to Om Ramaya Namaha. In doing so, there's a natural reduction in the quantity of thoughts. Agreed, everyone? So those both relate to the mind. I've raised the quality, reduced the quantity. The 3rd R is redirecting the flow of thought. That's where you leave the mind and now you're in the intellect. And you have to almost like cradle that redirection of the flow of thought from instructing, which is what the intellect is always doing, to inquiring. Inquiring is you having a conversation with yourself about that which is fundamental. In Acharya Shankara's Moha Mudgara, there are a couple of verses where the entire verse is about who are you? Who is your family? Who is your friend? Where did you come from? Where are you going? Are you happy? Keep trying to find the answer to the question, and what will eventually happen is the question will dissolve. That's the stilling of the intellect. And then you will observe. You'll observe who you are. That there's this feeling of dvaita or separation. Why is it there? And the more you observe it, the more that will dissolve also. Pujaswami Tejomayananda has forever shared, Maya cannot handle inquiry. Next, from Chicago, Pranam to Vivekji. When we chant during contemplation, should we chant only Om Ramaya Namaha? You should chant whatever makes your mind quiet. For those who are more devotional, they don't need to chant a specific mantra. They've understood and felt that every mantra relates to their Ishta Devata or personal God. Maybe I'm using too many words. Okay. My Ishta Devata, my personal God, is Bhagwan Narayana by himself. And so the related japa is Om Namo Narayanaya. Right now, though, since I'm in the contentment challenge, like many of you are, I chant Om Ramaya Namaha. And I have that same feeling that this is towards Bhagwan Narayana. If I chanted Om Namah Shivaya, I would have the same feeling. If I chant I am joy, I would have the same feeling. That's where I feel some people in our culture get stuck. And it's indicative that they're not devotional enough. And I had pointed that out, that most of our mandirs have so many murtis because the focus is to appease people rather than train people to become more devotional, to see that in this one icon, your personal God is in there. The name and form is not important. All of us who are administrators for mandirs, please think long and hard about this. What is the vision of your institution? Are you there to be liked? Or are you there to train in loving? Next, from Chantilly. Hari Om Vivekji. I regularly find that in the morning, a little bit after meaningful mornings, contemplation and some reflection on the teachings, my mind starts to become noisy again with thoughts while I'm getting ready for the day. And I lose energy in trying to quieten it through trying various meaningful repetitions, japas. Should I be continuously relaxing, breathing, chanting while doing relatively mindless tasks? Or is there a better way to channel my mind then? The more that you internalize purpose, which we've been doing in the morning, as you go about your day, the chances of that being taken away from you is less. If I have a piece of chocolate in my mouth, which I have not chewed, one of our kids can take it from me. But if I've turned that solid into a liquid, the chances are far less. If I've digested it, who can take that from me? So now just apply this to purpose, that the purpose of your day, your life, is to be joyous. The more you internalize this, even if someone is complaining about you, your schedule is erratic, your health is not good, etc., that will not affect you as much. Zooming into the question, if you're engaged in that, which doesn't require your mind to be active, the best way to be in that is for you to observe what you're doing. If I'm washing the dishes and I don't have to think about the dishes, which I don't, just like you don't, observe what is happening, observe how you're feeling. If that's too demanding, come down while you're washing the dishes, inquire. Use this as an opportunity to think about the fundamentals of life. If that's too demanding, come down to japa. While you're washing the dishes, Om Ramaya Namaha, Om Ramaya Namaha. If that's too demanding, then listen to something. Listen to a podcast, not the radio specifically. So I'm essentially sharing based on the strength of your mind. If it's very strong, give it less input. If it's very weak, give it more input. And this is where I cautioned, I think it was in the Upanishad course, maybe in Meaningful Mornings. We have this habit to always have sounds on. Even if it's soothing music or even if it's bhajans, that's still an input, correct? And we get habituated towards that. That's why the less input we give, the better. But if you can't handle it, do give input, but in a minimal way. For our upcoming silence retreat, which is 2 weekends from now, we have around 60 seekers who are going to be practicing for 57 hours. We keep increasing the number of hours to build it up to 72. And I wrote to them recently, and I'm going to write to them again, what they are not to do: no reading, no writing, no rituals. They can't wear tilak, they can't chant using a rosary, and so on. And that's shocking for them because we read so much. We feel this is a silence retreat. We have to write so much. And the rituals is very shocking for some. It's almost like I'm teaching people to move away from the divine. But conversely, I'm trying to teach people to internalize it so much that you don't need a name and form. So be careful about what you're exposing yourself to, because the mind can make a habit of anything. Rarely good, mostly bad. Next, from Portland. And I see that in the chat, what has been shared is a very unique podcast called Live Vedanta. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before. This is our podcast. And at the beginning of the month, we had completed 100,000 downloads of our podcast, including our Freedom Talks. 100,000 downloads by 33,000 seekers in 117 countries. That's awesome what our community is doing. So you can listen to that podcast, revisit these Freedom Talks. Now from Portland. When observing the mind, is it okay to redirect negative thoughts to positive, like judging to gratitude, or best to just observe and come to present? The best is just to observe. When you're changing a thought, you are giving reality to that equipment. And here, maybe a better word than reality is, you're giving identification to that equipment. That I am my mind, that's why I'm changing my thoughts. But if I'm observing, then I have the right relationship. This is just an equipment. I leave my toothbrush in the bathroom. I leave my shoes outside. Those are equipments. I leave them there. So observing is the best. I have shared many times in Meaningful Mornings that all of us should have the word or quality observant assigned to us. When someone meets you, they should feel, wow, you are such an observant person. Wow, you are so organized. Because that shows that you're training your lifestyle for this sadhana, this inner practice. If you can't observe, then undoubtedly you should change your thoughts from negative to positive. You should. And the simplest way to do that is by chanting Om Ramaya Namaha. Two more mornings. I can take one more question if anyone is writing quickly. Okay, last question for this morning. Hari Om Vivekji. When being, I find myself feeling, visualizing my physical form simply being, which I am not sure is correct. Should I be visualizing my true self while being to avoid being aware of my physical form? You visualizing is the problem. When you are visualizing, you may be using your inner sight, which is the mind. I'm visualizing how my body is sitting right now. Or you may be using your outer sight, where your eyes are open and you're seeing this chair being, or you're seeing your computer being. That visualization is still a verb. It is a subtle verb, but it's still a verb. It's still doing. Being is only possible when your insight, as in your knowledge, is so sound that there is no sense of name and form and quality. There is only existence. There is only awareness. There's only joy. So your being existence, how does existence have a form? Whether subtle or gross, it doesn't. Show me the form of awareness. See, here's where we dilute and we'll say mindfulness. Mindfulness is not awareness. Awareness gets expressed through the mind, and the mind that is paying attention, focused, careful, Certainly that's mindfulness, but that's not awareness. Even mindfulness has a name and a form and a quality. Awareness does not. So more insight is needed, and more so, clarity on that insight is needed. So you stop visualizing. When I lead all of you through visualizations, it is with a name and form, isn't it? That this is how Sri Krishna looks, or this is what Bhagwan Rama did. But finally, I end these visualizations with you not being there. He's married you, you've hugged him, and you're not there anymore. You don't have a name or a form or a quality, just Dhamma, just being. Your questions and my answers are really indicating, showing that contemplation is not casual. Your complete lifestyle has to become contemplative if you want to experience what Sri Krishna has taught. Any sort of casual approach or effort will only be relaxation of the body, naturalization of the breath, and at most, a quietening of the mind, which is great, but it is not the greatest. The design of meaningful mornings, especially through Bhagavad Gita, is for you to be the greatest. Anything less than that is you diluting Bhagavad Gita or what I'm trying to share in the form of oneness. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Oh. Oh. Be. the only aspect of life, the world, society, the body, the only facet which does not change is existence. Body existence and world existence are not different. They are both existing because of, on account of, existence. Drop, let go of any sort of measurable. The world is big existence. The body is small existence. This measuring is from the perspective of that which is changing. Existence does not change. Existence cannot be measured. Establish yourself in the clarity. There is only existence. There isn't anything else for you to be. You were, you will be, you are existence. Be. Just be. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.